Okay, now we're over there. We are live.
Yay.
Yay!
Yay!
It worked this time. Okay, now we're over there. Uh-oh. Can you guys still hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I had to mute the computer because that was coming through.
Oh.
Happy Friday, first of all. Happy Friday. Happy
Happy
Lionsgate.
Friday.
Yeah.
Woo woo. Does everyone have their beverage?
Yep, yep.
It's a whole different kind of happy hour nowadays.
Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers, cheers.
Cheers.
So before we start our deep dive into Lionsgate, we have the full moon coming up. We have Mercury going direct. There's quite a few things. And just to talk about what we're experiencing energetically too, could we start with just some intros? Holly, could you start off with your name, what your work is about?
Sure, I'd love
Yeah.
to. So my name's Holly Hawkins, and I am most known for my work in the Akashic Records. And I'm also a channel, and I brought something through called the Universal Sphere, which is a way of working with multidimensional energy to create change in your life. I teach people how to channel. And more than anything else, the thrust of my one-to-one sessions, my teaching is for people to feel empowered and aligned with the truth of who they are and feel really confident living full out, without reservation, without feeling that they need to hide, and trust that their light is here to shine during this time of our awakening.
Ooh, that sounds nice and juicy. And I will put the ways to connect with everyone down in the show description once the recording's over, because now I know I can't do that until after the fact. All right, Rena, could you give us a little intro, please?
Sure. I'm Rena. I'm with Soleil to Moon, and I have offerings on my site such as yoga that could be designed for anybody, anywhere. So I offer even chair yoga and yin yoga. Um, and then distant Reiki and sacred sound events where I will travel to you, but I also have offerings where you could come to me and do some sound baths in my sacred sound tent. So I have those, and then I love doing intuitive card readings. So that's something that I'm always excited to do for anybody that comes through. So,
Yeah. And speaking of that, she has a surprise for all of us. We will share a little later. And how about you, Rosalind?
Hi, I'm Rosalind. My business is Two Wolves Wellness. And of course, part of the wonderful Awakening Airwaves crew. But my offerings are Reiki and card readings and just, all the lovely things. And yeah.
All the lovely things. And I will also put the ways to connect with Awakening Airwaves down in the show description. There are new episodes every Wednesday and every Friday. So be sure to check that out. Okay, Melinda.
Okay. Well, hi, my name's Melinda, and I teach people to fly in a lot of different ways. I'm an aerial coach, a circus artist, and I more recently become a Reiki master and have my business in the back of my circus studio called Speakeasy Reiki, where I do sessions and support people who need to come and process their life, take a load off, deeply dive into themselves. And then if they want to, they can also do some journaling, and I can even teach them to juggle, which is a really good meditative practice. So I do a lot of creative things, performance coaching, and I'm also a performer of belly dance and teach belly dance as a sacred movement practice.
Love that. One of the things that you said is, I hold space to help people process life. And it made me think of, yeah, how are we all processing life right now? So, as we mentioned, today is the peak of the Lionsgate portal that there's been so much talk about today. What a lot of people don't know is this alignment starts or started on the 28th of July, and the portal will close on August 12th. But today is the peak of this downpour of spiritual, juicy energy that we'll talk about. But first, I just want to know what's been going on with you all. Have you noticed anything energetically lately? Any themes? How are you processing life? Jump in.
I'll share then.
Yeah.
So for me, it's actually interesting because I notice that when I'm not really fully aware of what's going on with like the moon or celestial or any of that, I'll still find myself kind of moving with the flow of what energies are coming up. So with this time, I noticed that I started having this time where I was like, I'm going to start reassessing my goals that are currently in place, looking at those, looking at, where do I need to redirect energy, looking at what's coming up because I have creative plans for the winter. And so just looking at all that. And it's really interesting because then I was like, oh, we have like a full moon right around the corner that's like right here.
Yeah.
And then, with the Lionsgate too, like I feel a lot of the just the spiritual work that I've been doing has been in a larger way, behind the scenes and everything. So that's been really interesting too, because I find myself just kind of like flowing with it, not realizing that's what's going on until I'm like, oh, that's what's going on. So
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Holly?
Been an interesting time. I'm a little bit different in my life. I'm dealing with a lot of my world is different because I'm dealing with my father's estate. So it's like I'm in a kind of a different mindset space that takes me outside of all my woo-woo work that's where I am and live. But in terms of this like little season we're in right now, this full moon, I know you were talking about Lionsgate, but this full moon's hitting me a little bit harder
Mhm.
in that it's definitely disrupted my sleep. And I don't like that when I just feel restless all night. I feel like it makes me different during the day. And not every moon is like that for me. I'm sure that's true for everyone. And I will knock on wood that my desk is. This Mercury retrograde's been kind of easy for me.
Oh, lucky you.
So far. Like, please, like, okay, let me, and some of them hit hard where I
Yeah.
just feel like, oh, how do you make it stop? How do I get out of Mercury? I can't do it. And this one's kind of like a little eerily quiet for me. And
Yeah.
people who are better at astrology than I am would probably be able to look at my chart and tell you why.
Yeah.
But I'm actually really grateful for it. And then today, aside from being with grandkids, I was really just in the background, really wanting to refocus on what's right and where it is that I'm envisioning the next stages of my life. Because I don't know if this is true for everyone, I know it's true for a lot, is it's so easy to get caught up in what's wrong and
Yes.
what isn't quite right, or that didn't go the way I wanted. And really focus on there's always so much that's right. And in terms of like, I think that holds our energy field open to be in that not Pollyanna-ish, artificial, positive place, but I feel like there are always good things that you can observe. I feel like it keeps our energy field open. And if our energy field is more open, then we are able to receive the downloads that are here, whether consciously or subconsciously when they're happening.
Oh, 100%. It's funny. I was thinking right before we came on, I haven't done anything specific for the Lionsgate today, but what I do every day is I have these incredible meditations. Like Rosalind knows, like I look forward to my meditations every day because they're so juicy. And so I feel like that was the treat of it all, but also because of the experience of the Lion's Gate, when we have this alignment with our sun and Sirius, and this idea with different cultures, actually, in different systems of belief, think that this time really is this heightened downpour of spiritual energy into the earth plane. And so for some people, that can feel very uncomfortable. And for some, if we do practices that help us to be more open and receptive, at the same time willing to release what no longer serves us, it's not as chaotic. And it's interesting with the Mercury retrograde going at the same time with that aspect of release as well. Yeah, so it is a very interesting time. There was something else you said, but now I forgot.
I did want to say one thing. There's a relationship from my past that came knocking at my door a little bit,
Ah,
very mildly, but but because I appreciate when I'm aware of what's going on in the planets, because that goes kind of like back to what Rena was saying. It's just like, oh, right, okay, that's why I'm hearing from them. Like I could just let it go and not
right.
take it too seriously. Or in this case, I didn't have to like circle back and say, okay, what is it that I really need to know about this? How's it, in more of those heavier things that circle back. This was more like, oh yeah, of course that's happening. And
Yeah.
then I could just let it go and not spend any energy on it and just kind of chuckle to myself about that in terms of Mercury retrograde. Because I said, it's been pretty uneventful. That wasn't heavy, but it was something I
You noticed.
appreciated taking lightly.
Yeah, well, you're right about that too. I just want to point out every retrograde, not just Mercury, but any retrograde, really, any aspect with the planets won't affect all of us the same. But it is common that, depending on our charts, certain Mercury retrogrades will be more felt by us. And this one is in Leo, which is a fixed sign. So a lot of us fixed signs are feeling this one a bit more. Hi, Rosie. And yeah, this one I've just been like, is this a joke? Like this, wow, because there are other ones to your point where I'm just like, didn't even feel it, didn't even notice. But one thing I wanted to say before I get to Rosalind, anyone who wants to see where tomorrow's full moon, which we're already feeling the energies of, if you want to see where it's showing up for you personally, if you can look at your own chart and see which house has Aquarius on the cusp, that'll tell you the area of life that this full moon is showing up because it will be in Aquarius. Yeah. What's been going on for you, Razi?
I will say, I don't think this Mercury retrograde is the most difficult that I've experienced, but like tech things are definitely going wrong. Like
Uh,
all the little kind of like normal way of structure and like process has had hiccups or surprises and things like
yes.
that. But nothing too terrible or heavy, which is good. So, but yeah, I think in returning to like the Lionsgate timeline that we've been sitting in, I've noticed that the energy has just felt a lot more palpable physically, like in my meditations, and I'm having more physical sensations, which I find really interesting. And kind of like what you said, Yolanda, like I sat down this morning to meditate, fully thinking like, let me make this very intentional about Lionsgate. And it was just Mother Earth came to me and it was like, no, we're just gonna, do this other thing. So I was kind of like, okay, great, whatever, I'm on for the ride, no big deal. So yeah, it's been interesting. It's not what I expected, but I feel like it's an enjoyable energy. And I was telling Melinda this too earlier, like it feels bubbly. Like there's moments of like joy and that very sun-centered kind of energy of just the illumination of just happiness and joy and moments all on like the individual, which is like a beautiful thing. So it's been nice. And I think that I'm hoping that some of the things that have come up will stick around even after things kind of settle down and we move on to the next kind of fun astrological chapter. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been good.
Well, that's good. Actually, now that you all are saying this with what all of you have shared so far, after we hear from Melinda, I do want to kind of do the breakdown of these energies because Lionsgate also has this component that a lot of people focus on manifestation and again, making room even for what it is you want to create. So, talking a bit about that and then getting a little more specific with the full moon and Mercury. So we're gonna swing it back around. What's been going on for you lately, Melinda?
Well, I'll start with my tooth. I recently let me just start with my body as usual. I had to have a tooth pulled, and it was an interesting experience, and it got me thinking about our teeth and the symbolism of of our teeth in terms of our development. And I was remembering back to when I was a child and I lost my teeth prematurely. I had a couple of like impacts with the earth. I back when before I, they grow in, and then I think I was probably 3. I had my front teeth, and one got knocked out when I was belly dancing in my mother's class, and I slipped on somebody's skirt, and so I was like baptized by earth, like this into kind of this. It was the biggest shock that I had so that I can remember of being like smacked down, and then the second one came out when I was in the presence of my father playing his guitar. So I don't know what it is about this, but I'm still working with what this all means. But I read that your teeth, in terms of spirituality, I mean, they're connected to consciousness, and they're in your head, right? So it's part of like your thinking mind. And bear with me, this is a very Aquarian possible kind of speech right here, a little bit off the conventional path, which is where I go usually. But now with like having this tooth pulled out, it's been in there for 50 years or more. It's like this gap is there, and it's just been interesting, to experience a loss of a tooth and your second adolescence postmenopausal, and just thinking about where is my head now, and I'm really tuned into all the layers of consciousness that I can tap into within my being. That really fascinates me, and I really pay attention to like, is this my rational mind? Is this my ego self? Is this my intuitive mind? Is this my like real expanded universal mind, that I can tap into through meditation, or, as invitation to commune with divine energies. And so, yeah, I'm kind of took us down an esoteric trip, but I go into those. That's how I process such a thing as a tooth pull. And so that happened, and I was writing poetry about the gap in my mouth. It was just, my daughter told me to stop. That was embarrassing. Stop posting about your tooth. Stop writing poems. But again, we're in the creative energy of Leo. I'm embracing all of it. I have been also very thinking about Leo season in general, because we are in. So I love the vibe of Lionsgate. I've been meditating and also kind of just seeing what comes through, not trying to force that portal, like I have felt a little bit of like, this is such a powerful portal moment. I better, but you got to just show up and kind of allow yourself to receive whatever it is you're meant to receive at this time. Like, it's not just, it's not to force your understanding of this, the lion of yesterday and the lion of tomorrow, which I also did go into a little bit of a dive in terms of the ancient Egyptian. Like, the lions are on the Egyptian Book of the Dead, like in the pyramids, like they're part of that whole scene. And I love going into the mythology of it, but also, which is really history. So anyway, that's where I'll start with my quirky tooth pull story. But overall, tapping into the Leo season, thinking about how am I showing up? How am I transforming how I show up? I've always been a performer, but now I'm trying to even shine through more media. Like, here we are, this is such a full moon in Aquarius kind of event for us to be having like today, which we'll talk about later. But just and then the discomforts that come from really trying to show up differently than you're used to, that's definitely been coming. So there's been this like shuddering and a shine and then shudder. And then I just look at it all and I'm like, well, I'm trying to change some old stories. I'm trying to like greet myself with compassion and still grow and just
Yeah.
trust.
Yeah. No, it's interesting hearing you say that. It's making me think of where the sun is in Leo on my chart. Is my seventh house. And this full moon, I'm Aquarius rising. So it's like this kind of dichotomy between the moon illuminating me and my identity, and the sun is sitting on my how I'm relating to others. So that's another thing you can look at on your chart. Once you see where Aquarius is and where this full moon is hitting, directly across the opposite house will be where that Leo sun is, where the sun is illuminating for you. So fun things to play with. But since you bring all of this up, as I mentioned, this energy for a lot of people, it is considered very spiritual. And that doesn't always mean like easy pretty. And sometimes what is very spiritual is what is brought into our awareness that no longer serves us, so that we can do this releasing or transforming or whatever it is that will help us elevate either in mind and consciousness in the way that we live our day to day, whatever it may be. So there are these energies that come in to support this for us. But again, it's also associated a lot with manifestation. And if you think about that energy, even of the sun, like how illuminating that can be, and what has really been coming up for you lately, what has been maybe a theme or what's been at the forefront, and even if you've been considering what it is you want to experience in your life, whether you call it manifest or not, just that desire to experience life in a particular way. Do you ever consider what is in the way of that? Do you have any resistance to the very thing that you say you want to encounter? Or do you do things that are in alignment with what you say you want to experience? Yeah, like what comes up for you all around that? I see Holly, something's coming.
It's a huge question. We could
Yeah,
spend our whole time on that one
I
question.
know. I know.
Oh man, I'll just because you called on me, so to speak.
Yeah.
Um, I think I've been very aware of what I would say in this current season we're in. I mean, you could talk about lifelong themes, but what has worked in my life and also what hasn't worked in my life that I haven't gotten to yet. That even if I've done a lot of work towards it, maybe a lot of healing, a lot of intention setting, a lot of, everything. And why isn't it there yet? And recently what's come up that as you know, Yolanda, I love to explore these things in my Akashic records. That's where I go with these things when they come up, is just this idea of why won't I let myself have that? Because and it's not conscious, it's not intentional. And I've learned enough in life that if I'm not, there is some deeper belief that believes that where I am is better, even if I have a desire for something else. So it's like, okay, so why is that better? And whether it was this lifetime or another lifetime, or I inherited it from family beliefs or wherever it came from, it kind of doesn't matter if I've adopted it as my own. Like, if I hold that and it hasn't changed, there's some part of me that feels that it's more valuable than changing. So opening up to that idea of like, rather than hating it, because that's usually what we do. We hate those things, right? That we feel stuck, we feel thwarted, we feel like our karma's against us, or we feel like, our family doomed us. But like, what if we approach it from this really kind, loving place of like, wow, I'm not, if I'm not going to do something to intentionally hurt myself, this is here for me. And like, in a sense, approach it from a different energy and point of view, and sort of invite an opportunity, and this is a deep conversation within myself, like, let's try something else.
Yeah.
Let's see. And so it's not this force, because I feel over the years, myself, but also a lot of clients I work with, there's this energy of force around manifesting.
Hmm.
And there's almost an aggression sometimes of like, I've got to do my affirmations, I've got my vision board, I've got this stuff and this assertion, but a lot of it is in defense of where we've been. And so I think that for me has really been coming up of like, can I love that part of myself that has held that so sacred, that has been constant for my 66 years of this life, and love that, and then move forward to invite like a co-creation into something new.
Okay, that was really deep, Holly. I mean,
I'm sorry.
we could no, it's so good. But I'm just thinking like hopefully either you'll do it on your podcast or we'll come back a day and have just a because that, honey, yes, we could talk about that all night. And it's God, my mind just went everywhere on that. So hopefully you have light bulbs going off for everyone. But you remind me of too this year. There are certain things that it's funny. It's almost as if we create or align with them so easily that we almost don't even recognize that we were part of that creation process because we just do it and we just live it. But then there are some things that, yeah, like have been on the list for a long time. And I caught myself maybe earlier this year being a little frustrated with like, well, what is like, what is the adjustment that needs to be made? And then I got to a point a few months ago where I was like, just focus on your frequency. And that just became a priority for me because I realized how disturbed I was. Like, I was creating such a distortion in my mind of a fixation and attachments that we talk about. So I decided to really test that whole thing with, do I trust exactly what you were talking about? Like, do I even trust where my life is right now?
Mhm.
And what is right now. So if I redirect and just be more concerned with just my frequency in general, what is it that I'm aligning to in frequency? It's kind of experimental for me right now, but I'm just seeing like, so what does that do? How does that start to get things in motion for me in my life? So I'll keep you all posted, but yeah, it's been a few months
Years,
of doing this.
excuse me, years
Yeah.
ago, somebody said a question, one of those ones that just has hung on. We all
Hmm.
hear these things, and it's what's right about this that I'm not getting.
I like
And
it.
that can apply to so many things in our life, but especially the places where we do, when we focus back on Lionsgate and this idea of manifesting, a lot of it, it is we're trying to move away from something that we don't like or it's not so comfortable anymore. So
Yeah.
the idea is one of the ways to do it is to be able to say what's right about this. And that shifts our focus and shifts our frequency.
Yeah.
And when our frequency and our focus shifts, then we have this opportunity to allow something new in, even if we don't know what that is yet.
Yeah, and that's the big piece too. I think we don't always recognize how much space is necessary. The surrender we talk about, the spaciousness we talk about, instead of again causing all of that static that comes with the fight that we're the ones fighting. I don't know. But what comes up for you, Razi?
I will say I really resonate with all of this because I do the same things of like you try to hold something to manifest it, but when you cross the line of holding too tight and being too attached is when everything constricts. And I think I really feel it like in my chest space. So if I'm like actually tapping into like that energy of like what I'm trying to manifest and I feel the constriction, I'm like, oh, I've gone too far.
Yeah.
But the other thing that was brought up when Holly mentioned the question is I like to, when I'm trying, Yolanda, like you said, like how much am I really trusting? How much am I really surrendering and saying, I've put this out there, I've created it in my mind, so it's already existing somewhere. and the universe and I, we're tight. We're working, we're meeting every day, you know, we're in this, then how much am I really surrendering if I keep coming back to that thought, keep wondering about timelines and all that kind of stuff? And I think for me, I there's a phrase that came to me in a meditation that was just show me how good this can get.
Mm,
And so in those moments of like wondering like when is this going to land? When is this going to, you know, be the thing that I thought it was going to be? It's like, no, no, no. Like let me just step back and be like, you know what? Universe is just preparing. Show me how good this is really going to get. I'll be patient and I'll know that, you know, things will be illuminated and I'll get to that point. So, yeah, love
oh, I
that.
love that. That is beautiful. Show me how good this is going to get, police. I have sent that message out for myself. How about you, Rena?
So I definitely think in the past, have definitely set up my own roadblocks. I have been my largest obstacle in the way of,
Mm,
getting what I'm trying to invite in. But where I'm at now is there's a particular thing that I see in my view that's creating a little bit of a resistance there. And so I am really trying to do what I can to kind of pull it apart and
mm,
like work with it and dive into, because there is, like, I know Holly had mentioned about the past life stuff. Like, this definitely goes back to lives before that I carry through with me into this life. And so in order for me to be successful and move in this one direction, I really have to, get through this obstacle. But another thing I was going to say too is I like to actually use my cards too for when I'm doing manifesting. So like the thing that we're going to share later. But I earlier today went upstairs and laid out my cards because I wanted to. I've been taking notes on a vision board idea that I want to do. But for me, one of the things is to really be clear in the detail, because sometimes I'll feel like there's something that I want, but sometimes it's more of a like the aesthetic idea in my head, if that makes sense,
mhm,
of pulling it in. And I'm like, well, is this really what feels good with me and my energy of where I'm wanting to invest it? You know what I mean? So right now I have certain things I definitely want to pull in, but there's also some other, items. And so I spent some time upstairs earlier and I was like, okay, I'm going to grab my cards. I'm going to, work with this and look at, what's in the way and, all this stuff. So that's something that's really helpful for me too, because sometimes I think I can't always see what the block is, energetically. And I'm like, well, what's going on here? And so that kind of helps me identify and get some clarity there. So, yeah.
I love that too. And you just remind me of as well, sometimes when we want something, like one of the things I know I noticed was something old. I thought I wanted one thing and I genuinely did, but I realized my resistance was clinging to the comfort of what was already so. And in order to really have that other experience, I would have had to have that faith, that trust to let go of what was already so. And it was such a terrifying thing. And I negotiated back and forth with myself for so long over this thing. And actually, I think around that time, not that you would remember now, but I do know even when I was going through some of my tug of war, I had Akashic record readings with Holly, and there were different illuminations that came in around ancestral things, things, past lives, like just good information that sometimes when we just have an understanding, that
Mhm.
even helps us to soften and go like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not resisting anymore. Yeah.
100%. That's actually what came through for me like a couple weeks, or I guess it's been a few weeks now, but I had something come through on a reading. And I was like, oh my goodness. It's like it made so much sense, because I'm like, all the struggle through the years on this particular area. And it's like, okay, now I see it.
Yep.
And so now it's a matter of me, to kind of taking the ball and working with it. Okay, what do I need to do to kind of like pull it back and make sure that I could get in a space of acceptance? For
Yes.
me, that's really big, is being able to, work with that area. So yeah.
It's really cool to hear how reflective everyone is. Like listening to the way that everyone describes their experience, like, wow, we're a really reflective bunch. But I like that the mention of that as well, how important it is for us to be interactive, like not just to be like, oh, universe, and then just sit and wait, but that we have um, a way to interact with all of this. What about you and manifesting or whatever we're talking about, Melinda?
I think we're talking about that. And
Yeah.
I've been really in the background feeling into it. And I'm not a, I don't consider myself like a manifester in a certain way. I feel like there's different types of
Like
manifestors.
styles.
Yeah, styles. And I'm not the kind, I'm like, I'm in flow a lot. And I feel like life shows up for me and manifests for me magically. And I don't know whether that's a cop out or what, but I honestly, like everything flows well. I'm in my, and just things kind of drop in and I show up for the opportunity. I'm able to recognize, yes, I'm more organic, but it could be some work could still be done because I know I grew up kind of in a very unconventional way and
Yeah.
didn't have a strong, like I grew up in like many in different countries, in different cities, in different schools, like 16, like a lot of places. And just for me to have a home base and my own temple that I run is a very huge manifestation that I've accomplished. But I didn't do it like, well, I guess actually I did years ago. I read a book. Maybe that was I read a book called Getting What You Came For, which is obviously a manifesting book. That was to help me get my doctorate back when I was doing my academic work. And that was kind of a nuts and bolts. But then there was one that I read side by side to that called Creating a Life Worth Living, where I did do a vision board of some sort. That was kind of like the one vision board I've ever really done. And I did envision, this is all just coming to me now. I didn't even think about this before. But I wrote down, yes, I want to create a space where people can come and explore their creativity, their dance, they can write, they can explore themselves in the cosmos and do their movement practices. I want to live within walking distance of this place. All of that has come to be. So I think in that sense, I manifested that in a sense, or I did consciously write that all down at that time. And since then, I haven't really come up with a grander plan. I'm very happy with with my life as right now. And it feels like I'm in the right place, doing the right thing with the right people. And I'm able to take care of my family my mother who's living with me right now. And, I'm able to kind of balance life in the way that I want. But I do wonder, could I be asking for something more,
Mm-hmm.
and that the universe, I'm just staying open to like what's coming in. Like I have sort of started to take up more space in different places, which is interesting. So, but I come at it, I don't sort of come at things head on. I'm sort of, I guess it's that Pisces moon, I don't, it's a little watery, but when it comes into view, I'm like that. And then my will kicks in and I'm like, yes, I want that. I know. And then I do it and I go and I'll do anything. But yeah, that's
But
where I'm
just
at with
so
it.
there is no confusion, because you've thrown out a couple of signs already. Okay. She is a Virgo with a Pisces moon. Because you said Aquarius something earlier. But it's funny because when you started, I thought that's what I was thinking about, the way that you grew up. And I was like, wow, bopping around the world like that. I wonder if that would even play into, I guess it could go either way, either becoming someone who's very attached or someone that just is like, huh, free as a bird, like how you are, kind of like a free spirit, not attaching too tightly to anything. Because, I mean, even the way you travel now blows my mind. But this question came to mind when she was saying this, to pose and ask all of you. Does the wording feel different to you? Because sometimes that matters for us. Is there a difference for you in the idea of manifesting versus, say, co creating with the universe? Do those feel different? Do they mean something different to you? Anybody? Anything come up around that?
Well, I'll start just because I was on the flow, and I feel like I prefer co-creation at this point because I feel more, I vibrate higher with that concept. I feel like manifesting does feel like the force that Holly was talking about before. There's something that kind of that's what I feel about it. It's not, I know that that's just me, but like I feel like that's just, it feels like it comes from the mind somehow, and you're just like going to do this thing and you're going to make this. I don't know what it is, but I like co-create because that allows me to still be in my flow and sort of see what's, what is going on in the universe around me. And then like, what magic carpet do I want to hop on, with the universe? And where is that carpet going to take me? Like I can kind of see the carpets available and then I can choose, so I'm co-creating and I can have little glimmers of like I want to feel a certain way about things, which is
Yeah.
kind of intangible, and manifest feels very concrete, like it's a thing. I do a lot of manifesting around how I want to feel about things. I want to feel harmony. I want to feel peace. I want to have good relationships with people. I want my life to feel like it can be in that flow without impediment, with support of those around me. So I feel like that, manifestation feels maybe more like, okay, I want to have a yacht. I know that's not true. I know that's more than that. But
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I want to have this bling stuff, or I want to, which is fine. I think that would be. I don't want a yacht. Just I don't want a yacht. I don't. I really don't. I don't.
Like, just to be
I
clear.
don't. I just to be clear, I'm a little. I get sick on boats. I'm not into the boat thing. Sorry for all of you.
No, no,
I don't. I
that's
was
good.
no shit. No, but I just. I'll take a beautiful cabin retreat center in the woods. There you go.
Yeah.
But there I've said it. But I want to feel these certain ways, and I will show up to cultivate those ways with spirit. I meditation and asking for guidance on that, and doing work with my nervous system, etc. So anyway.
No, it's funny when you said it. It reminded me of, if someone said to me, "Do you want to go run?" I'd be like, "Heck no." But if you said, "Do you want a fast walk with me?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I'll go for a fast walk." And then if it turned into running, then okay, okay. That's what it kind of feels like to me. Like, co-create. Yeah, we're in this together. And then if, I end up the Empress on the Empress card, all right. Yeah, I'm gonna check in with Rosie because I know she's leaving soon. Rosie, what comes up for you around it?
I'll say, I think throughout my life, it's been hard for me to set big goals because I think I'm open to so much that I don't feel like I want to pinpoint on something individual. And so when I think of the word manifesting, I think of like, oh, I've got to have like the whole picture set if I want to manifest something. And part of that is a little bit intimidating. And so when I think of like co-creating, that kind of is like, all right, here's the piece I'm giving. And then I know the universe spirit is kind of bringing up the other side, and like, we'll get to some really neat ending here. But yeah, I think co-creating takes a bit of the weight off too, of like just feeling like you have to have it all set in your mind. So I like the freedom of that.
Yeah. It's funny how words can make such an adjustment for us, like just a slight difference in our own feeling or translation. Yeah. What about you, Rena, Holly? Any difference between the two?
My whole thing froze for a minute, so I missed a little bit of what was said. So Rena, please go ahead and I'll catch up.
Sure. So for me, I usually, because I use a vision board. For me, I'm very visual, and that's how I kind of invite things in, invite different energies in, and both material and non-material. But I like to have a visual representation of it in my space. So for me, I usually just, I don't know, certain words do feel a little uncomfortable for me. So I definitely could say manifesting, but most of the time I just say, oh, okay, I'm gonna, put it up on my vision board of goals. That's just what I use. But yeah, but I like the co-creating is beautiful too. So
I like that goals. But I think what's really standing out for all of us is that it can look different for everyone. That's what I really love about this conversation is that it's not cookie cutter, but really paying attention to more what does feel right for you and then play with that. Like again, for me, like I like playing with the idea of frequency and I'm curious about what is it that I may have in my consciousness that might be resistant to this thing that I claim I want. That's all. I like the examination part, but then I like playing with frequency too. Yeah. We were just saying, Holly, that it's so unique to everyone, this whole idea of creation and paying attention to what really resonates with you.
And for me, the idea that, and a lot of what I believe about what we'll say is manifestation, I do prefer the energy of co-creation, because I see myself as intrinsic part of the universe and the unified field. And a lot of what I know and understand has come through the channeled work I've done, particularly with Ishtara, who you're familiar with, Yolanda.
Yeah.
And one of the things that what I the way in terms of manifesting and the way I think and feel about it now comes from what I've learned from her, and that we live in a field of infinite possibilities, the unified field, and we exist in this. And so everything that literally is possible is energetically available already. Not because we've put it there, but just because there are an infinite number of possibilities for everything. And so my job, if you will, in terms of, if you want to call it manifestation, I like to think of my manifestation as now I get to experience this. Like, I mean, I'm experiencing these other things and now I get to experience something else. And that's my manifestation, is because I've chosen to experience something different. I've chosen to say, oh, in this field of infinite possibilities, I know it's available, even if I haven't experienced it yet. And, fill in the blank with whatever, being a multimillionaire or having this amazing love or whatever it might be that is sparking our desire. Just that, I don't know, it brings me a lot of peace to know that there's a vibrational match that already exists. And what I can do is just decide that it's available to me. And that gets into a bigger conversation about, like, do we feel worthy and other things like that. And that could get into past life and family things. But the idea is it's there. And my job is to actually be open to this idea that, like, oh, I want to experience that now.
Yeah.
And that's where manifestation comes in. It's manifest when I've chosen it, and I keep choosing it every day without feeling like it's not available to me because it doesn't happen on a timeline that I think is appropriate.
This is so good. I really hope that this gets a lot of people questioning and thinking and reflecting on their interaction with how we're constantly creating. I mean, that's really the truth of the matter, but like how we're doing it and what the influences may be. But just even that thought form, I would say, Holly, of like, oh, well, it's a possibility. I could just open up to that may be a huge shift for a lot of people to just hear that, like that is a possibility.
I think part of it also is we've been conditioned in our collective consciousness, if you want to be in the woo-woo place, that, I mean, I really exist in this cosmic place, but in our collective consciousness, we have a suffering belief. I mean, where that's been cultivated over millennia. And we have this idea that we are inherently broken and something's wrong with us and it needs to be fixed. And it's only when we're fixed and we're not broken that we get to experience the good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, we can get into where all those thoughts and beliefs originated, but it's a pervasive energetic thought form in our collective consciousness. Well, what if you get to right now You don't need to heal another thing. You just need to get clear on, okay, I'm perfectly imperfect. Cool, I'm perfectly imperfect. You're right, I am. Because I'm always going to be evolving into what's next. So, what if instead of worrying about, I need to heal all this stuff, but what is it that I would like to experience? And let me take that one step today or one step this week towards it. And we can do it without this endless cycle of feeling imperfect and not good enough and not worthy. Our desires are there for a reason.
It's hilarious. I'm laughing because we literally just talked about this in the alchemy circle last night, although it was very
Oh,
specific to the line of forgiveness, like the frequency of forgiveness, but it had the same undertone and feel. And it's so, so good. This is why I'm glad we're having happy hour. I think a lot of people are going to be like, wow, this was like a class. Okay. Well, just to make sure, because we spent almost an hour on Lion's Gate, and that is, I think, a lot of juiciness came out of it. But I do also want to talk about the full moon because the full moon energy, again, it's already being felt. Like if you look out your window tonight, it looks full. The peak of the full moon is like 4 in the morning Eastern, 7 in the morning for us. So look at her tonight. But it's full in Aquarius. So always when the moon is full, it's the moon and the sun are in opposite signs. So Aquarius and Leo are opposite. Both of them, the signs when they're opposite, they have a similarity, but it's almost like they're coming from different sides of the street. So this energy kind of gives this axis of I am seen, I am known, I am talented, all of that big, beautiful Leo energy. And the Aquarius side is more like, yeah, but how does this support the collective and community? How can this gift, this talent be shared and not just for me? So we have this energy coming up as well. Like, which aspects of ourselves are we really owning? Like, with that fierce Leo, like, this is who I am. Look at me. I'm ruled by the sun. But then also having that consideration of, but it's not just for me. I came
right.
here to be a part of the collective. I came here to contribute, right? So this full moon will bring up a lot of considerations around even that ownership of our uniqueness and the beauty of your individuality and how it adds to the fabric of the collective. And we serve in a lot of different ways. I mean, it could just be you were nice to someone at the grocery store. It doesn't always have to be this big, grand thing, right? But what is so unique about you, that also would be like a gift for everyone else to be able to experience if it were full bodied, right? So the full moon in Aquarius will bring up that our embracing our uniqueness, our connection to community. Another big thing around this is recognition. So thinking about our relationship to that. Are we comfortable with receiving recognition? What are our stories around that? But also, are you the kind of person that's okay with giving others recognition? You know, have you ever met someone that's like, I'm not going to tell them. Like they like almost don't want to, I don't know what that's about. But what is our relationship to that energy? And then, of course, community. What is our relationship to, being advocates, supporters, caring about the bigger picture, the bigger world, not just us? I know it's a lot, but I'm Aquarius. That's what we're about. No, just kidding. Anything come up for you all around that in terms of, the full moon, what it's bringing up in these topics?
Well, I'll start as it's maybe a bit literal. It just made me think about, because in my realm, we're in performing arts.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I'm coaching somebody to be confident on stage and learn how to perform on stage. And everybody is, not everybody is comfortable with that, And some people would never want to do that in a million years. But I have patented ways of getting people to go on stage with an understanding. it's not just about you. It's about if you're uncomfortable with being Leo the lion on stage, taking center stage, it's about the love you have of what it is that you do. So if you're going to go out on stage and present an aerial silk sack or a belly dance or something, you are no longer just you. You are an embodiment of a bigger energy. It's not personal anymore once you go into that sacred space of the stage. It's for the collective. And the audience wants to see you in your fullness, they want to see what you love. They want to show their appreciation. And sometimes, in this day and age, it's very important for an audience to actually put down their phone.
Yes.
I mean, be present. I mean, I am a master of ceremonies, so this is my job to actually sort of like introduce a show and bring the audience into the circle, and they have a responsibility to applaud the performer, but they're also applauding themselves and their community around, so it's very much a we're all in this together kind of moment when you're
Yeah.
doing your showmanship and your show. It's not showing off to these strangers. It's look at the feats of human capabilities. Look at the potential that we as humans have. Look at all we can do. Look at our creative abilities, and then we celebrate each other. So that just came to mind just as a very concrete kind of like, I was like, this is what I'm doing this weekend. I'm I'm producing a show with some students, and their family will come, and this will be part of it. And it's such an uplifting experience for everyone. And
Yeah.
everybody wants to both show their love this way, and it's important as the performer to learn how to receive that love, but also trust that it's okay for them to take up space and show what they love to others.
Well, it's inspiring. I always think of when you see people doing something they're very talented at, how inspiring that can be, even if it's something you have no interest in. Like I saw a video the other day of a cowboy doing a hula hoop trick. Just it's very interesting. It's a cute cowboy too. However, it was just fascinating watching the talent with this hula hoop, and not in a dirty way, like legit. Like it was like all over the place. I saw this other lady, same thing. The way she worked with the hula hoop like it was water. Now I'm like, why is this coming up as my algorithm? But it's encouraging, it's fascinating. It puts us in a state of awe to see when people are so gifted at something, but also the feeling. That's why I love seeing shows or listening to music for that matter, just anything. And people are just like, I love the feeling of watching someone be authentically them and like be in their fullness of creative expression, whatever that might be. Like I could watch Holly make beads, the necklaces and jewelry, and it's just like, wow, like the pattern she came up with, it's fascinating to me. I want to say really quick, Robert said in the chat room, this must have been, a little bit ago. He said he loves all that you just shared, Holly. Thank you. Yes. So anyone else, any thoughts about these energies that come up around full moon in Aquarius? How do you guys feel about, what was that word again? Recognition too. Yeah. You're press unmute. Go ahead, Rena. You could do it.
All right. So specifically with the recognition piece and
Or
just
whatever you love.
okay. I definitely think that right now I'm really embracing this part of my life where and this kind of goes with the Leo moon, but it's never really, so not Leo moon. I have Leo moon in my chart. That's why I said that. I'm so sorry. but the Leo sun, because I feel like for me, I'm really embracing this stage of my life of my age, where I am, just on a physical level, spiritual level, and not really hiding or being embarrassed by it, or how people are going to react. I shouldn't say embarrassed, but how people are going to react in my family area. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, this is it. I'm sorry. Like, if you would like to discuss stuff, that's great. If not, that's okay too. You know? So as far as recognition part, I don't know. I think this is very different for me to share and to be on like YouTube and to do the podcast and everything. I'm really feel like I've been just working my throat chakra nonstop. It's like, but so it feels good too. I think I'm getting to that point where I'm starting to get like more comfortable. Whereas like before it felt like I was kind of like always like, okay, when is my space to speak or share, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if that kind of answers. I think it does. That's kind
Yes.
of, so
No, it does. And I like to the thing of I think sometimes when we are afraid to try something new or go out of our comfort zone, but once we stay at it, like I always tell the story of you couldn't have paid me to do a podcast or talk to strangers. And now because the reason I wanted to do it was bigger than my fear, I did it, but it has changed my life in ways I never could have imagined. And
yeah.
not only that, I found out I actually like talking to people. So, like, you discover different aspects of yourself too when you allow yourself, dare yourself, have the audacity to try new things.
That actually made me think of something. It's not related to
Yeah.
this, but it is in some ways. But the sharing part, because I recently have been getting way more comfortable at the grocery store with people. Um, and so people are probably going to think this is so silly, some people, but I have always used my pendulum in the grocery store for certain products when I'm trying to figure out the ingredients in the back. I now have different apps that I use as well. I drive my kids nuts because my kids want potato chips and different things. And I'm like, no. And they're like, call me crunchy mom and everything else. But, yeah, anyways, I try to keep up on some of the lingo there, but just last week, there was actually a lady, she was so nice too, but I met her in the grocery store because she was asking me, she's like, what does sun essence mean? It was like an ingredient in the drink. And I was like, well, so I have this app. And so I started sharing with her. But all that to say is that I'm getting very comfortable with that portion too, of like, kind of stepping into, well, this is part of like who I am too. Like, this is important to me. Like, sharing this part about health and what we're, consuming and in the food sense too, and everything that's out there. So yeah,
Wait,
anyway,
I have a question though. So,
yeah.
sun essence as an ingredient, is that like leaving tea out in the sun?
Well, so it was a
What is that?
sparkling water drink
Uh-huh.
and it was a carbonated water drink and it said sun essence, but it didn't have any flavoring. So we assumed that that's what it was because it didn't have anything else that like popped up on the apps.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, it's
Well,
very,
that sounds like a very Aquarian thing to say about an ingredient. This has sun essence.
yeah, right.
Don't we all? Aren't we all full of sun essence? Like, that is so cute.
Yes, that's interesting. Yeah. What
Yeah.
about you, Rosie? Anything with this Aquarian moon theme?
I just think, yeah, I totally second what everyone is saying. And I think this Leo season, I feel like a lot of people are stepping into what they enjoy and sharing it
Mm,
more. And I love that because like y'all were just saying, like the inspiration that you get from seeing someone enjoying what they're sharing. Like if only social media was all of that, like
right.
people on it sharing because they're like, hey, this is authentic. And then people engaging because they're like, oh my God, I love watching you be in this state of your, happiness and joy and doing the things that you love. If only. But yeah, I think it is interesting, and I think it is kind of like a snowball effect sometimes when you step out of your comfort zone and you say you can be seen and you're worth being seen, and that your contribution, however saturated you feel like what you're saying is important, and it'll reach people in ways that are different than what they've heard before, even if they've heard exactly what you said. So yeah, I think it's just such a beautiful thing to just step into that light and let yourself be seen. And even if it flops, at least you did the thing that you thought you couldn't, and that always adds to the self-confidence and the ability to kind of keep going and keep exploring and letting yourself be fascinated by things enough that you do feel so called to share. I think that's a beautiful thing, that we can exist and see the divinity in everything around us and just be so enamored by it that we're like, "Ooh, I need to share this. I want other people to see this the way that I see how beautiful and fascinating it might be." So yeah, the more people can do that, the more we'll just walk around just being in awe of everything and excited and wanting to interact, and yeah, full of sun essence.
Yes, be full of sun essence. It's funny you say, I literally just was telling Caleb maybe like a couple weeks ago. I was like, it's funny because now that Awakening Airwaves is happening, I am way more active on social media than I've ever been in my life. And I was like, I wish I could post stuff though of like what I enjoy. I was like, what am I going to put myself just meditating? Like, I'm going to just have videos like this. Yeah. Like, you think anybody wants to see that? So anyway, we
I
were
dare
kind of,
you.
I know, right? Just, I'll do it in, what's that fast speed? Where you can do
Yeah.
yeah, you'll just see me like breathing. That's it. But I was like, God, I guess I should do something outside. No one wants to see
With
me
a great
meditate.
voiceover, it would be wonderful.
Oh, I did. Look at that. Look at masterminding. Thank you, honey. Well, what about you, Holly? Do you have any thoughts about these Aquarian themes for the moon?
Um, yeah, and it's hitting me differently now that, through our conversation, but this has been a theme probably for the whole year, not just right now with this moon, but the desire for recognition doesn't come if I'm not recognizing myself.
Mm,
And that's this whole vibrational match piece. And that if there's an area, and because I've had themes in my life of, I guess, working very hard for recognition. And I don't mean like public recognition,
yeah.
just even in a work segment or a social segment where you feel like you're really showing up and it doesn't get recognized, or even worse than that, like the recognition gets diminished.
Yeah.
And recognizing that for myself, recognizing the recognition, like, how am I recognizing myself? Am I saying, to myself, what is that recognition that I want in the world? And am I offering that to myself?
Mm-hmm.
And then if I'm holding that as a vibrational truth of me recognizing myself, I'm more likely to feel it from the world around me.
See, I love that. That's a good,
So that's what I've been and I keep using this word recognizing. I've been recognizing, and my quiet, just day-to-day work is like, well, if it's a lack there, what is it that you want? And are you now providing that for yourself? So I feel filled up. I'm not requiring the world to serve me that way.
yeah. Well, it's funny you say because it's again with the social media thing. So with Reiki Radio, it was just an organic thing. People found the podcast. I wasn't crazy on social media. I've never been. But then like with this excitement of sharing all of your voices and awakening airwaves, like it was exciting to me to finally do social media. But then the same to your point, I was like, well, if I have this excitement for them, I have to have the same excitement for me. So I've been doing both now. Now I'm just exhausting myself, but it's exactly because of what you're saying. Yeah. How about you, Melinda? Any thoughts about the moon? Did you already say about the moon? You did. Did we all?
We talked about the moon. But
Everybody?
I do love though, I have one other thought.
Yeah.
This, like what we're doing is so perfect for full moon in Aquarius because
Yes.
we're sharing in community on a kind of a forward popular, I mean, in sense popular for the people is what I
Yes.
mean, for the people. YouTube, it's just so interesting to be able to do this. It's fantastic, to
Yeah.
be able to get together. It's like so futuristic,
Yeah.
And that is like the Aquarian theme. I just was thinking about that as just a fun little,
Yeah.
we're just reflecting the actual energies in this conversation.
Yes. I'm thinking like, you know what? We should share this even more because so good. It's so juicy. So all this good juiciness we've been talking about, where is the sun essence within Mercury retrograde? So Mercury retrograde has been, I think it started on the 18th of July, something like that. And it will station direct, which means it's coming out of retrograde on the 11th. Is that right? Yeah, on the 11th of this month. But then you have this after shadow period. It's almost like the transition. So it's not an immediate abrupt, like, oh, it's over, we're good. There's a transition out of that energy. So it's really not fully cleared out until around the 25th, more towards the end of the month. But Mercury retrograde. Mercury is the planet of communication. It is associated with how we think, how we process thought. It's also related to commerce and travel, movement. Mercury, that god bops between the realms, right? So anytime it's in retrograde, we're always hearing from astrologers to be mindful of our communication, even our perception, how we're translating what we hear and what we're presented with, making sure that we are clearly understood, crossing our T's, dotting our I's, going through contracts with fine tooth combs, just making sure everything is as it should be. Also, because it is Mercury, there's also this in communication, there's also a thing of disruptions with technology, which that happened to me today, but whatever. And what else? Travel. So a lot of times astrologers will say, depending on your chart, this might not be the best time. You might have disruptions like layovers, delays, these sorts of things. But then, like what Holly mentioned earlier as well, retrogrades are great times to revisit, reflect, revise. And sometimes, and especially with Leo, because Leo governs the heart and it's our passion. Oh, it's so sexy, really. But old flings, old flames, old relationship energy could come back around to either correct something or maybe just for you to recognize, like, oh, done and complete, whatever it may be. So, has anything come up for you in these last couple of weeks that you've recognized as something from the past, maybe illuminating for you to understand differently? Or has anything really been highlighting for you around your communication or someone else's communication? Any retrograde themes for you all coming up?
I'll share on this one.
Yeah. And how do you
So,
deal with it?
how do I deal with it?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I will say I had so the communication piece right now is big for me. And
Yeah.
I am finding that there is a particular what I'm calling like a circular pattern that has arrived at my door again.
Mhm.
And for me, I took a much different approach than I have in the past in this area. And I found that sometimes, even when we are growing and when we're going through changes within ourselves, with how we're communicating with others, it could be triggering for others as well. So even if you are kind of setting a boundary, or even if you are kind of not playing into something that maybe was not as helpful for you in the past, that could also be, off-putting for that person. So it was interesting because this whole circular pattern thing came up and I'm like, oh, okay, this is something that I'm going to have to deal with and pay attention to, but I'm not going to engage as I have in the past.
Yeah.
I'm just going to kind of sit back, because for me, a big thing, because I sometimes, my Leo moon likes to get a little fiery at times. And I have to really like slow down and process the information and then respond. And so this is an area that I'm really trying to focus on right now, is like taking the time to wait it out, whatever it is, and allow myself the time to really like digest it
Hmm.
and then like communicate back. So yeah, that's an area that I definitely could see. Like it's like, oh, okay, this is, to see where I'm at. All right, got it. Thank you.
So interesting. And it's like, thank goodness, so you think about it, that we have these opportunities to reflect, like go back and maybe course correct. It's not just like anything in life is one and done, and everything is changeable, especially our perspectives. But it's kind of cool when you think of it as like, huh, let's just like bring something around again just to double check and see maybe even how you've grown with whatever
Mhm.
this thing is, you
Mhm.
know? This retrograde has definitely brought a lot of opportunities for direct, clear, and loving all at the same time communication for me. Yeah, so it's definitely hit the communication piece, which I just played with it. That's how I dealt with it. I was like, "Hmm, interesting." Although, if I notice that something, because I know I have a tendency, I can be so direct that it's misunderstood. It can seem, because I'm just like, these are facts and there's no feeling in it. And I understand now that that's not always well received. So sometimes I have to wait, like even if it's 24 hours, really process it before then I engage in the communication, because I have to be in the right space too. So that's how I'm dealing with this retrograde. Yeah. How about you, Razi? Any retrograde things come up?
I think it's been bringing into my awareness. I think it's more of like acknowledgement or seeing how I'm processing,
Hmm.
and it's letting me be reflective. And it's like, here's that thing again. Are you going to let it start the circles in your brain, or are you going to pause and think, like, I don't have to feel that way. I don't have to think that way. I can change it. There's been a lot of that. And I think it's just brought this idea of like, pursue what you enjoy, like, pursue what's going to make you feel like you're vibrating more. And maybe because we're in Leo season 2, but like vibrating more in that higher frequency or that sunshiny frequency or the joyful frequency. It's like you don't have to sit in the same mental loop that you always sit in, or whatever it might be. So I that's how it's been coming through for me, is it's like, let it go. Review, let it go, reflect, let it go. Just take in the things that, yeah, will just make you feel better. Because I feel like that's what we're really here for, to explore, to understand, not to be miserable, not to feel like we're being beaten down by lessons. Like, it can be fun, it can be enjoyable. And I think that that's important. We don't have to take it so seriously.
I like you even saying, what did you say? I don't have to do it anymore, or I don't, whatever it was, something you said like that. I was like, oh, I like that too. Like even just having that final kind of aha moment of like, oh, shit. Like even though I might be used to XYZ, and this may have become my way, my habit, my comfort. I don't have to do this anymore. I like it. Yeah. How about you, Melindy?
Well, I've always felt like retrogrades maybe just a chance to slow down. It's not all bad, you know. I've been asking my astrologically savvy friends about that. Like
Yeah.
Adrienne, I asked her the other day her take, and it was a nourishing take on the retrograde phenomenon of being a time where, you get a chance to, you know, take a pause. Like it's not a bad thing at all. It's a wonderful opportunity to like just go away. So I have been doing that in terms of, again, my sort of consciousness exploration within myself and really reveling in the fact that I'm able to recognize any stories that I have held in the past that maybe are no longer there. I celebrate that. Anytime I notice that one has been released, like it used to be there and it's not, and it's not even in my body, which, in my emotional body, I'm so excited about that. I'm thrilled, I just feel so I celebrate these retrograding times in that way for my own self-reflection. And at the same time, I notice still in terms of I'm very aware of communication. My work is all about communication and community, and it's very important to be mindful and set your intention around your life and your context and what it is that, you're trying to foster in any environment or in any relationship. And so I'm always mindful of that, but this gives a just kind of gives an opportunity to just highlights it. And I'm a Virgo, like Rena. We, communicate. Mercury rules us. Our minds may be pretty, like, we probably do think a lot, maybe overthink, maybe worry, but I'm really grateful that I've been able to, like, through Reiki practices, truly, like, release a lot of worry, release a lot of old, again, stories that used to keep me in worry, which now I feel much more free of, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah. I like the reflection piece too, although I feel like, yeah, I'm over reflecting, reflecting all the time. But I like the idea that we have a space for that, especially when there are people that it might not be your norm. And so maybe you need something to come in and kind of disrupt and say, like, look here, right? If it's not something you normally do. Um, yeah. But also thinking about with Leo season, it's probably a good time to reflect on also like what your gifts and talents are, your connection to what you're passionate about, because sometimes we don't make room or time for that, which is sad. So get inspired. How about you, Holly?
I think for me, in terms of this retrograde, aside from the fact I said it wasn't that negatively impactful so far, I'm assuming it'll go that way
Yeah.
for the rest of it. But for me, when I'm aware that we're in Mercury retrograde, and what's been really hitting me now, just because of circumstances in my own personal life, is the slowing down, which has been a theme that has been brought up here, to not come up with the reaction or the response or even the emotional response, even if it's unexpressed, just my own inner response, that, like, wait, what's the assumption I have here? And so it's almost like my own circling back of, like, what's my assumption here? Let me slow down and notice that. And what would I like to choose? I'm big into what's the energy that I would like to choose instead of what is my knee jerk. So what is my choice in how I want to be present or express or respond? So that is how it's been landing for me in this particular Mercury retrograde. And that's not where Mercury is or any of that. That's, to me, it's like a newer theme that I embrace every Mercury retrograde right now, because I don't think people get upset about it. It's like, we don't need to be mad at Mercury for going retrograde. It just is what happens. So let's embrace what's right about it, and get yummy with it, and use it to expand. And so for me, it's like, how do I want to choose to be?
Well, I love that you say that because that's part of the reason I'm excited about these happy hours so that we can have these kind of conversations and we can hear all different points of view and, just have fun with these conversations. And especially because, to your point, astrology in a way has become, like pop culture now, as a lot of things in the realm of spirituality. And so there have been a lot of things that have been hyper generalized, such as Mercury retrograde. And so there is, like you say, like even a knee jerk response. So, oh no, not Mercury retrograde. But again, like if we stop and really examine what it means, or even to tell people, if you hear these things and you realize you might not really be clear about what it is, research, do a deep dive, explore for yourself. But just because someone has one point of view of something doesn't mean it's the absolute and total truth. So that's really good advice, Holly. Well, there's one more thing. I don't know how, well, we'll see. So I just happened to see this when I was looking up for us for our email today, and something came up that there's going to be a planet parade on the 10th. So what is that, Sunday? I think. I don't know. But
Yes, it,
apparently the several planets, I think six of them are going to be in a in alignment, and this is not an odd thing, I guess, but it's they call it somebody calls it a planet parade. But when this happens, four, at least four of the planets will be visible to the naked eye. So on the 10th, if you get up, they say an hour before sunrise, you can see the beautiful little twinkling planets in the sky. I will say, if you are someone that lives near, what do you call those places? The astronomy, like they have a, you know, the,
observatory.
yes, thank you, Holly. The observatories. One year, Saturn was going to be visible. And so I went to an observatory in Joshua Tree, of all places. And through the telescope, because they have the very high powered telescopes there, I saw the rings of Saturn. When I tell you, I was like squealing like a kid, and there's a bunch of people there. I couldn't even care less. I was like, oh my God, I could see the rings, as everyone there could, right? But I say that to say, if you are interested in the planet parade, I believe Saturn might be one of the ones visible. So if you go to an observatory, to a high powered telescope, you too could see the rings of Saturn. Yeah. Have any of you ever seen different planets and get excited? Like even when Venus is visible, any of that? Yes. No.
Yes. I wish I lived. I do live close to it. I don't make the time to do to do the telescope trek, but I'm always
Yeah.
grateful to my friends who have the telescope, and then I can really like see the moon, or
Yeah.
in a different way, kind of. I love that. But Yolanda, I know you love Saturn so
Yeah.
much.
I do.
I know.
I'm so Saturnian. I told you this year, this astrologer, actually, she was on Lainey interviewed her for Awakening Airwaves on Lainey Wu's podcast recently. Her name is Erin. And I had a reading with her this year, and she said, "You are a child of Saturn." I was like, "Yes, I am." Like, yes, I am. Um, yeah, but it's really cool to me. Even sometimes when you just see, what time of year is it where you see Venus in the morning? I can't think. But anyway, anytime you see any planet, I get so excited because it reminds me that we're on this little orb just bopping around in the cosmic. Even the full moon, every time I look at the moon, it reminds me of that. Like, that's like us. How is this working that we're just out here on this orb, just bouncing around in the galaxy? I mean, I know it's not that simple, but like sometimes looking at the stars and knowing that some of those twinkles in the sky are the planets, it gives a interesting perspective to where we are and what's going on. And
I
we're,
feel that way in North America, in the northern hemisphere, when
yeah.
it's getting to be fall and winter time and you can see Orion.
Oh,
I
yeah. Oh, you
I
love
get
Orion. Yeah.
I get dreamy about all that, and that awareness of we are a tiny little infinitesimal speck in the cosmos.
Yeah. But it's something about it that just makes my little alien Aquarian heart so happy.
I
And I
think
really,
too,
do you ever look up and think like aliens, we're here?
yeah.
I do. Go
I
ahead,
think
Razi.
too, when you see your own astrological sign in the stars, like when I look up and I'm able to see Taurus, which is my sun sign, I'm like, "Ah, that's me up there.
Oh, look at my constellation.
Look at it, it's so cute. But I have to hop off, so
It was so good to see you, honey pie. Ciao, Bella.
Thank you.
Another time with a telescope, a high-powered one, I was able to see Scorpio and Gemini. And seeing those constellations now, even when I do readings on the app, if I talk about Gemini, that's what I see in my mind's eye, that constellation that I saw with my own eyes. Or Scorpio, but the astronomer was telling the story of how part of Libra's scales were actually considered part of like the scorpion claw, and somehow that got separated from each other. But it's really cool to see the constellations and the planets. I don't know. Anything else come up for you guys around being on Earth?
Not necessarily around the planets, but when you guys were talking, what came to mind for me is I always look forward to the fall and especially winter time in Arizona because that's when I get to get my tent out. And I spend a lot of time in my sacred tent. And part of the reason is because I could hear nature. And so I hear the coyotes and I hear the owls and I get to, go outside. And so I wear glasses regularly, but since we're sitting on a computer, I'm not wearing them. But to see distance. So I can't really see the stars necessarily,
Oh,
but I can see the moon.
yeah.
So, but I love just being outside in nature. And so, yeah, I think it's amazing. And it's that opportunity for us to, like you said, Yolanda, but kind of have that perspective of like, yeah, we are so small in the grand scheme of things. And just we all play a role and we're all connected and we're all part of this amazing experience. So
Yeah, but it's like a good thing, like even what you're saying to get out in nature, because you just reminded me as well. I'm usually in the city. I'm a city girl. Like you're not seeing much out in the city, right? But this one time I was in Julian, who's, Julian Holly. Julian is a an area, I guess.
It's a
Is it
mountain town.
considered San Diego? I don't know. It's close to San Diego at least. I don't know if it's whatever it is. But Julian, it is a mountain town. And there I was at this house that was at like the top of a mountain in Julian. And at nighttime, the windows in the house were humongous. And but the house was so high on this mountain that at nighttime it looked like you were in the sky, like literally in the sky. And it was the first time I ever saw the Milky Way. I didn't
Mm.
even know we could see the Milky Way. I mean, again, like I'm fascinated with the sky apparently, but if in case anyone doesn't know that, there are places you can go and with your naked eye, no telescope needed, you can see the Milky Way. Can you imagine? That was incredible. Has any of you seen it? You have, Holly? Where were you?
I've just been out in nature enough where there's not the city ambient light
Yep.
around because it it's all this stuff is so easy to see if you get away from the city.
Yes.
And yes, elevation helps. And like where I live, I have so many trees around me. I've got to go find a local mountain. I mean, in Western North Carolina, they're not big mountains like they're everything's small here compared to
Oh,
California. You got to move away because there's so much foliage. But the it if you get somewhere where the lights are off, our human lights
yeah.
are off, it's really astounding. And I've just done a lot of camping and been out in nature. I was in Australia once, and obviously we're seeing different parts of the sky,
Right.
completely different parts of the sky. But that's the most phenomenal thing. If anyone ever has a chance to go out in deep into nature so you're not around lights out in Australia, your mind will be blown. I've never seen anything like that. And the colors even
Yeah.
in the sky were different than in North America. It was wild. And even
Well,
though I
even to
can't
that,
point out constellations, I know I could just tell that like I am not seeing the northern hemisphere sky. And I don't know if it's like this intrinsic, like I'm a universal citizen kind of recognition or like,
yeah.
and it was just getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning to witness that. It was like, no, there's no church better than that. It was just
Yes.
jaw dropping and awe inspiring in the truest sense of the word.
Well, it's interesting you say because that was one of the things I loved. Now, I'm not going to Australia, okay? Because again, social media has shown me all of the bugs and things and all the
the
things over there. I'm
birds.
like, no. And those kangaroo are like buff. I'm like, there's too much going on down under
Oh,
for,
I loved seeing the kangaroos
oh,
there. They were amazing.
no, I'm good. But no, but what I will say, the one of the things I found fascinating was driving across our country. So one time, only once, my mother and I drove from the East Coast to the West Coast, and I couldn't believe how much the sky changed just driving across our country. So there were some states, I want to say, maybe it was like Iowa or I don't know, wherever it was. It literally looked like the sky was touching the ground. And I couldn't believe it because I've never seen that kind of perspective that way. It looked like the sky was like kissing the ground. And then in New Mexico, when you talk about the different colors of the sky, I had never seen anything so beautiful
Mhm.
as the sun setting in New Mexico. I mean, those colors, I don't even know what they were. It was the most beautiful thing. But it was wild to me that the sun looks, I mean, the sky looks so different just driving across the country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you going to
I
say
grew
something? Yeah.
I grew up in the Bay Area, so Northern California. And so when I moved here 20 years ago, I was like, holy crap, because same thing, the sky is just totally different here compared to like where I grew up. And so, yeah, it's gorgeous. I love that.
I think this is a good way to encourage everyone as we wrap up. Go outside. Put the phone down, get away from the computer, all of the devices and just look up.
Hmm.
We rarely do that. Well, some of us rarely do that. I do it every night. I love it. I will just stare at the sky. I'm like, whoever's looking down back at us, don't come visit, please. I mean, you can come energetically, but I don't really want to see you. That's what I tell them. I'm like, hey, friends, you could come talk to me, but don't visually, no, don't want to do that. Don't let it do that part. Do you guys have any advice for anyone that is, dancing with learning themselves energetically right now? Or any thoughts that you have just about the way that the universe really does give us all of these beautiful opportunities to explore different energies and aspects of ourselves?
I just always like to remind everybody to trust themselves, to follow their curiosity, to let themselves explore without needing to explain to anybody why, even to themselves. Sometimes you just have to go and try things, that are unfamiliar. The root of unfamiliar means, doing things different from the way that you grew up with family. It's unfamily, which is not a bad thing all the time, and some of us learn a lot by kind of going beyond our boundaries and what we've known within family. And then we circle back to, doesn't mean we don't love them, we do, but then we can circle back and like love them even more and differently, but with knowing that we've sort of sampled out there. The universe is vast, as we've just talked about.
Yeah,
Get out there and try new stuff. It's fun. That's my advice.
that's good advice. Anyone else? Holly?
Um, I think what's coming to mind right now is trust your dreams and desires.
Yeah. Cool.
I view our dreams and desires, especially those ones that never leave us alone, they are breadcrumbs, I feel, coming from our soul speaking through our heart.
Mm,
And so if they continue to be steadfast for you, trust that it is possible for you and open to the idea that it is possible even if you don't know how or what it's going to look like yet. But that gives us hope and optimism and a curiosity to discover how that can show up for us.
wow. Listen, okay, first I just want to say I was waiting on Rena because she has something to share with us and I'm going to pull it up on the screen. But just with what you two shared, I'm thinking again, like, this is juicy. I like these happy hours. I hope people really do enjoy and get some inspiration or, at least some reflections from this is good stuff. I like the happy hours. All right. Thank you, Holly. And then Rena, I'm going to pull up
Yeah. And I had
Mythic
something
Mel
to
and
add to
Holly
that.
don't even know what you have for us.
No, I'm curious too.
I want to see. Can you all see that?
Oh,
Are you
I
all able
see
to see?
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, there we go.
It's beautiful.
So, one thing I was going to add to that I thought of when you were asking the question of like just someone that's new to spirituality and kind of, trying to grow in that area. The one thing that always comes up for me as far as that I think back to when I was early on in my development and early on my path, I always looked outside of myself. And the one thing that has really helped me through this time has been going inward and really working on my intuitive gifts.
Yeah.
So, how that shows up for people is, of course, always different. So that's where you get to have the exploration of playing and doing things like, divination tools and doing dream work and doing all these different areas, however it, is helpful for you, and listening to those little bits, whether it comes in subtly and it's something that you're hearing, or whether you're having something that you're seeing in a dream state, or even when you're awake through your third eye. But anyway, so with that being said, today when I was doing my spreads for myself, I decided to also kind of switch gears and lean into doing a spread for Lionsgate. So the idea of this spread is basically to do this 8-card spread, which you could see it's a 8 on the side there, right? Figure 8. And
Let
then
me know when you want me to scroll.
you could leave it here for now if
Okay.
you want. But basically, to have this be a card spread that you do through the end of Lionsgate, and it would go towards the next 12 months. So it's kind of the idea of a soulful spread. Okay, so it's not, really looking at material goals as much as it is spiritually. So if you want to go to the second page, Yolanda. Thank you, ma'am. There we go. So I have the questions on here. So the first page, of course, is how you would lay the cards. And that starts at the center of the spiral. You work yourself out, going to the left, and then coming back through that loop, and then going back around the right side. So you have a set of questions there. So what spiritual gifts are going to best support me in this next 12 months? And really, like with these, you could do them in a different order. This is just the order that I put. And then looking at, what energy are you calling in? What are you attracting in? And then soul calling, what could truly serve your soul? And I think that's such a huge question, because I think a lot of times we look at what we should be doing, or maybe how we see ourselves in our life. But really like tapping into what is our soul calling while we're here and right now in this timeline, right this instant. Like, what are we looking to bring in? How can we better serve ourselves so we're living to our highest expression, if you will. And then the next one, card 4, is how to bring into fruition, because obviously that's a big one, right? Like we talked about co-creating and manifesting. So what is the best way to bring my spiritual gifts and goals to life? And looking at that and, being playful. If you want to, kind of reword things, have fun with the cards. And this doesn't have to be one deck, guys. I'm just going to say, because I'm notorious for grabbing like 10 decks when I do spread. So it's just like, I have like 3 different areas I go for cards, and I just go, okay, where might be pulled? Oh, okay, I got to go this way. And then I'll go grab, the decks. So have fun with it, because it's meant to be fun. And then where to invest your time or energy. The question being, where should I focus my energy for the next year? So again, looking at it for a 12-month period. And then once you go through this entire spread, something that you could do that's very helpful is, if you have a journal, I like to take pictures of my card spread, and I'll include the questions, I'll include the cards, and then I will include what came up for me intuitively with the cards, because sometimes even if there's little messages on the card, you might have something else that comes up. And then I like to include that in my journal, and I'll copy paste it, like literally print it out, tape it, paste it, whatever, into my journal, just because that has been helpful for me in the past. That could also go up on your vision board too, or right next to your vision board with your items. So, and then Number 6, flowing with life. And so I thought of you, Melinda, when you were talking about just kind of flowing, because you really do, every time I hear you talk, you really do flow with life. But how can I best align and adapt with the changes along my path? Because I think that's something to look at as well, because so many of us might not be comfortable with change. And so even though it's something we want, we might not be comfortable with kind of shifting where we need to shift. And then number 7, so looking at release, which is kind of perfect for the full moon too, right? So what am I ready to release? And then the last one is support is here. And I like to always have a question of just the general message from my guides. And so what supportive message do my guides have for me? And that's always a really fun one to see, you know, what comes flying out of the deck for you. So.
That is so beautiful. Thank you for putting this together for us. And I'm going back to the first page just to show again. The first card starts here and then it goes on this path. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but it literally goes in the shape of the lemniscate. So it's really, really beautiful. And there's a link for this. I will include it. I'm also going to put it under the free resources page on the Reiki class website because we have free resources there for your learning enjoyment. So I will put the PDF there as well. I can't thank you all enough for this. I love those questions. They're really good. Oh,
That
speaking
was
of,
so fun, Rena. That
I was gonna
really, that was
say, like,
inspiring. I was like, we're taking notes. That was really fantastic. I love that.
well, it made me think I want to see both of your journals. I don't, Holly, you wouldn't, but I mean, the drawings, the different color, like all the stuff they do in their, it looks like books of art. I don't know. I need to see all the pages.
Can I just ask
But
Rena
also
one
want to tell
question?
anyone,
Oh,
yeah, I just really quick, if
go
anyone
ahead.
doesn't know how to use Oracle yet, our last happy hour last week was all about Oracle and some great suggestions of how to work with the cards. So you can watch that too. Go ahead, babe.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I got excited.
No,
I was like, the lemniscate direction that you chose, going up to the left. How did you
How did I
vibe?
decide?
Yeah, how did you vibe with that? Is it a planetary directional? Is it
It's
intuitively
just
going to the
intuitive.
left? Yeah,
It was just intuitive because I wanted that design because of the 8 and because of Lionsgate. But then when I turned it, it just felt natural to go and
you went
progress
to the,
that
yeah,
direction.
I love that. I love seeing where people want to go. It's so cool.
how did you feel? Well, I have to say, I have to thank you all for taking time for happy hour tonight. I mean, 2 hours out of your life on a Friday night, and hopefully again in the theme of Aquarius for the collective, for all of us. This was really, really good. So I just want to let everyone know again, Holly, down in the corner on my screen anyway, Holly, if you can wave. Holly specializes in the Akashic Records and the Universal Sphere. She's also a channel. And I will put the link to go to her website, how to reach her on Instagram. All of that is down in the show description. And then you have Rena up top next to me, I think. Oh, no, not on the, not down there. Just, yeah, wave. Rena is, Rena is, specializes in sound healing, Reiki, Oracle cards. She really, really loves those modalities, but we all do a lot of different things, but these are the highlights. So I will also put how to connect with Rena and her Instagram down in the show description. And then our mythical Mel, Melinda. Can you wave? Yes, our circus child, our belly dancer extraordinaire. She is a body alchemist and she also provides Reiki in person and remotely. And she also is a lover of Oracle and Tarot, I will say. So I will put the links to connect with everyone, including Rosalind, who was with us earlier. Rosalind is really big with Oracle and Reiki and walking in nature. So maybe she'll offer some nature walks in the future, but she loves working with the energy of Earth, like literally getting out there in nature. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you, ladies, so much for
Thank
saying
you.
yes. We'll
Thank
be
you.
back with more
You.
happy hours. Before we go, Holly, I know you said maybe, but you're maybe going to do a happy hour on the 22nd, right?
Yes, we are.
Yes. And what will that be about? Just so people know.
The Akashic Records.
Yes.
Ooh.
So if you really want to deep dive and have a fun, juicy conversation about the Akashic Records, join us on the 22nd. And next week on the 15th, I'm hoping we can have a happy hour about becoming a practitioner in this realm and what the experiences have been, the fears, the celebrations, the suggestions, whatever, just the work of doing this work.
That's a
Yeah.
great topic, Yolanda.
Yeah. So I think we can have some fun with that and, be honest. We're not trying to be all whatever, just what will help people. Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you again. Oh, and you can catch all of these beauties, including Rosalind, on Awakening Airwaves. So right now on YouTube, go to Awakening Airwaves, follow that channel. You will see all of their beautiful podcasts, and you can get the free resources at thereikiclass.com. All right. Good night. Happy Lionsgate and happy full moon.
Happy
Thank
full
you,